Hello and welcome to another review here on Motors for the Masses. And this week we have a bike from a manufacturer that's been producing some very well-made bikes. So let's roll the intro and get cracking.
Crack. I've been a real bad boy on the town all night. Starting to calm down with the morning light down in the dirt.
Now we've actually had this bike for quite some time, but I've noticed there isn't actually any reviews in English anywhere online. So let me introduce to you the 2019 Mash Falcone 125. Using the same single-cylinder air-cooled Suzuki GN-based engine that they use in all the Mashes, although this one has been built in a different factory, it produces 11.6 horsepower. Using newly designed upside-down front forks, the Falcone has this side-mounted monoshock arrangement, which is quite attractive, I think, in a non-sexual way, of course. A combined brake system with a six piston front caliper on a 280mm disc and a 240mm disc on the rear. On the front there's a 100 Timsun tyre, and on the back there's actually a 120 Timsun tyre, not the 130 that they say online. However, both wheels are 17-inch. With a 13.5 litre fuel tank, this bike will do between 80 and 100 miles per gallon, but that of course depends on how you ride. Weight-wise, it is pretty much as you would expect for a 125, 127 kilos, but that is the dry weight, of course. So you can add more to get the wet weight. The bike is exactly 2 meters long with a width of 750mm, so it's actually quite narrow. Height 1.3 meters and a 780mm seat height. So let's start this baby up and take it out for a ride. Now before I do, don't complain that I should be wearing safety gear and helmets. I'm just putting it outside the door, alright? So just chill. That's quiet, isn't it? Right, I'll get my gear off and we'll have a chat. Well, my initial thoughts are just how nice this bike looks. It's a lovely looking machine. I love this LED style front headlight. It looks very much similar to the one on my Honda 404. I love this side mounted rear monoshock. The exhaust even is not bad looking, and let's be honest, most modern exhausts are a bit crap looking and sounding. But anyway, it feels comfortable to ride. Now this seat is actually quite firm, but when you're on it, it's not hugely wide, so it's not pressing on your inner thighs, and it is actually very comfortable to ride. Now when I first got on it, I thought, oh, these handlebars are short, but I actually like it. It's really easy to maneuver at slow speeds, at normal countryside speeds, no problem whatsoever. Now the dashboard is slightly to one side, and that plays with my OCD, but it's okay. It's very reminiscent of the one on the FB Mondial, except things are laid out slightly differently. There are, however, a couple of negatives. Now, one of them being these foot pegs. They're not on springs, so they move up. Now, this one, when you first put your foot on it, you change gear, you can get it caught on your shoe, and it does move it up. I don't like that. All it needs really is springs in them, just to bring them back down again. Other than that, they're okay. Now, the other thing I don't like is it goes into fifth gear at 40 miles an hour at 6,200 revs. Now, to me, it always sounds like it needs a sixth gear, or change the gearing, because it pulls away quite nicely in first, second, third and fourth. So maybe just alter the gearing or stick another gear on it. However, it does pull all the way up. Now, bearing in mind, we got this bike with no miles on it, so I only took it to 55 miles an hour. And you're doing 8.5, 9,000 RPM, and it sounds okay. It's only that initial 40 mile an hour, 6,200 RPM sound is like, it's another gear, it doesn't quite sound right. But you can get through that. It's not really a major issue. I don't see this being a problem getting to 60 or 65 miles an hour once the engine's run in and you feel more confident taking it past the 8,000 RPM mark, because it does rev up to 12,000 RPM. So don't worry about that so much. Now, with the negatives out of the way, let's talk about the positives. Well, the brakes are superb. Front and rear pulls up really nicely. You don't really get any rattles and bangs as you're riding along. Everything feels very solid, nothing sort of flapping and ticking or anything like that. The indicators are very easy to use. They are quite clunky to turn off, but that's a good thing because you know that you've actually turned them off, and of course you've got your indicator on here. It does have a gear indicator, which I know a lot of people like, myself included. I love the look. These little fins here, quite nice looking. I love this side look. I love the whole feel of the bike, the way it rides. It does ride really comfortably. Suspension is really nice. It's not notchy, it's not clumpy, it's very smooth going over country roads, going down normal roads. It feels really nice to actually ride. There is one more negative I will point out though. That is this side stand. Now, when we first got this bike, put it together, put it on the side stand, and it just rolled forward off the stand. And luckily we caught it, and there was no damage done to the bike. But I was completely shocked that with the steering lock to the left and the side stand on, it just literally rolled forward off the stand. Now, I have spoken to the importer about this. They are aware of the issue and it is being fixed. But to solve it on this one, all we did is ground a piece off the stop here. As you can see, when that goes up ground a piece off there and painted it so it looks okay. And it just allowed that to go forward a little bit more. So now it does not roll off the stand at all. That was a potential big issue, but we've solved it, and now they've taken note and they've solved it too. So at this stage, I'm just going to show you the dash, and then we'll have a look at the lights. So when you turn the dash on, all very pretty and lit up. Front lights. I have to have the engine running for this one, but you get the idea. Look, flashy, flashy. Look how bright that is. That is mad. Right, let's have a look at the rear lights. Brake light, not brake light. And the indicators, even though it's only got one LED, are unbelievably bright. So what about the overall design of the bike? Well, the tank, the side panel, it all flows very nicely in this retro modern style that it has. It's very well laid out and very well put together and very well thought out. Even the swing arm, the way it comes down here and then across over there, it's just really nicely designed. The seat is sort of a leathery suedette with this suede side panel. I don't know how that would fare in the rain, but in the dry it's fine, obviously. The engine itself, as I said before, is the Suzuki derived engine. Sounds very sweet, looks very nice. That's all I have to say about that. What else can I say? Well, I also like little things like this carbon effect on here, a nice sort of teardrop-ish shape to the tank. The Mash logo on there, Mash being French, of course, if you didn't know that already, with the bikes being built in China, like everything is these days. Even as far as little slots for the hand to go in and pull the bike round or move the bike if you need to. I like that. I like these designs. It's all very well put together and nice and flowing. So how easy is it to move this 127 dry weight bike? Well, hand in here, pull round, like so. Not actually that bad at all. Bearing in mind, this is heavier than 127 kilos because it's full of oil and full of fuel. With all that being said, there is one thing about the design I would change, and that is these mirrors. They're a bit cheap looking. They don't feel cheap, they're nice and solid, but they just look wrong, I think, for the style of the bike. I think this flows all very nicely, and they look like an afterthought. Sorry, Mash, but I'm not impressed with the mirrors. However, how much is this bike? Well, it is £2,799 on the road with a 2-year parts and labour warranty. Now, I don't think that's a bad price for the type of bike you're getting. Bearing in mind it's got that Suzuki derived engine, it's got the Mash pedigree, which, let's be honest, has been pretty good with the other models in the range. And it feels nice, it looks nice, and it rides nicely. And that's all I have to say about it, really. Do you have one of these? Do you have one on order? Do you have another Mash? Do you like the look of it? Do you not like the look of it? Please leave your comments in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And that brings me to the end of this episode of Motors for the Masses. Thank you very much for joining me. Please, it says weird to say me and not us. Malcolm is still around. He's just not around a lot at the moment. So please join us next time when we'll be back, possibly with Malcolm or with Jamie. I would like to thank Jamie, who's behind the camera at the moment. Thank you, Jamie.
No problem.
And there you go. We'll be back with Project Bob. We'll be back with Project Mac. We'll be back with more reviews, and we'll be back with lots of other stuff. And until next time, please ride and drive carefully, but have fun. Bye-bye.